Hey everyone, welcome back. Once again, my name is Rebecca Thorne and I'm super excited to have you guys here today. Today, our topic is going to be pitching a literary agent live. Otherwise known as the elevator pitch, but I'm going to kind of expand it a little bit and address things that maybe don't happen entirely in the elevator. So let's say that you're going to a conference, right? You're in a hotel with all of these other writers and all of these other agents, and someone comes up to you and asks you about your book. Now, this is going to happen a lot. My first piece of advice is to know what the agents look like. I only say this because I had an agent from the Nelson Literary Agency in my elevator at one point, and I just had a nice conversation with her about things that did not pertain at all to writing. We were literally in the elevator going down, and I didn't say anything about my book because I didn't know that she was an agent. Don't do that. Anyway, we're going to move on from my mistakes into things that you can hopefully avoid when you go about this process. So I kind of used, when I was pitching at literary conferences, I used this type of pyramid scheme. Sounds super sketchy, I know, but I actually drew it out for you guys because I have no idea how to superimpose an image on my video yet. So this is my pyramid scheme. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of things to start with, but let me go ahead and explain this first and then I'll bring this back up. When I go about my elevator pitch, I don't know how much time I'm going to have. So my theory is that I start at the bottom with the basic information. That's the biggest base of the pyramid. I tell them what my title is, what the genre is, and what the word count is so that they know that I understand how those things link together. Because again, word count is so important depending on genre. If you tell someone that you have a 100,000 word middle grade novel, no one is going to take you seriously because they're going to know that you didn't do any research about how long a middle grade novel really should be. And then I go into my one sentence elevator pitch. Again, this is for like an elevator ride from top to bottom. You only have 30 seconds, so you better get it right. So I go into the one sentence pitch. Now, I'll talk about that a little bit in the future, but I want to get through this pyramid thing first, and then we'll go back and break this down. So say I get to the base of the elevator, they really liked my one sentence pitch, and they say, walk with me, I want to know more. And oh, great, wow, celebrate for a minute, because that's fantastic. So now we're going to move up a little bit in the pyramid. Let's see, expanding character conflict. That's what I have over here. Whee! Oh, there we go. Yep. Expanding character conflict. Why your main character? See, the pitch should include why your main character. Question number one for yourself when you're coming up with these pitches is why can no one else do what your main character does? And it had better be something better than she's the chosen one. That trope is so tired. Nobody wants that trope anymore. So you have to come up with a really good reason as to why your main character is the only one to solve this problem. My most recent book, a sci-fi middle grade book called The Truth About Star Whales. It was about a little boy who was grieving his father. So on the base of it, the base plot was that they were hunting for whales in space. But then the next step of my pyramid would have been the boy's father passed away 2 years ago, and he's trying to come to terms with that as a 12-year-old on this space station where everybody knows what happened. So then after that point, I'd move on to the next level of my pyramid, which is, nope, there we go. Expanding your setting. Again, how is it unique? How is it unique? How is it unique? How is it unique? I hope you're noticing a theme here because you have got to let an agent know why your book needs to be written, why your book should take interest over the 50 other books that she's going to get pitched at this conference. Why is your book unique? It's a good idea to kind of come up with that one thing that's different. You know, mine is a fantasy setting, except, and remembering that except is essential for this third tier of the pyramid. The fourth tier of the pyramid, put it over here. The fourth tier of the pyramid, pause for questions. The best interviews come when there's a give and take, a back and forth, because that gets the person engaged. And it's so important to get the agent involved in the dialogue. So give them a chance to pause and ask for questions. Most of them will. Most of them are going to be very curious to know about A, B, C, or D that you've mentioned. And they're going to say, wow, this is really unique. Tell me more about this aspect of it. And then you have a lead-in to kind of go about it. We've shown this. You see the details? Yep. You see the details up at the top. You've paused for questions, details, details, details. Now it's the time to start working your way up, depending on how much time you have left. But you've gotten the basic information down. You've gotten the major part of the pitch down. Now I want to talk about why pitching an agent in real life is not for everybody. And I know that this might be an unpopular opinion. I know that some people think that you really, really need this to succeed. What if that one time you end up in an elevator with a literary agent from your dream agency and you don't have a pitch? Well, now you're just rambling. But here's the thing. The very first conference I ever went to was DFW Con in Dallas, and it was great. I loved it. I remember after the pitch contest that I went to, I walked out of the hallway that they were doing all of the pitches in, and I went to the bathroom, and there were people crying in the bathroom because writers are not used to physical interaction in that way. Some writers really, I mean, they write because they don't want to be talking to someone face to face. Some are hardcore introverts. They're not comfortable walking up to a stranger and saying hello. And that's okay. You don't have to be. You don't have to be that person. But if you know that about yourself and you know that it would just cause you so much stress to sit down across a literary agent face to face, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't have to go through that. You don't have to be pitching face to face if you don't want to. There's a lot of other ways to pitch agents. You know, if you are sitting at a literary conference and you have 10 minutes of an agent's time, you're allowed to ask them things about the industry. You're allowed to ask them how they would recommend you go about writing your next chapter. You're allowed to ask them pretty much anything. I mean, if it relates to publishing in any way, an agent is going to know what they're doing and they're going to have an opinion about it. So sitting across from them, it doesn't have to be a pitch session if you're not comfortable with that. You can always ask them at the end of your pitch session after you've been doing a Q&A, you can say, hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate you getting together and talking with me about this kind of stuff. I do have a novel. I'm still working on refining it, but I'd love to send it to you when you're ready. Is it okay if I maybe email you in your slush pile? And then they'll say, yeah, that sounds great. We love getting emails in my slush pile. That's awesome. I don't really have the time to look at anything this weekend anyway. And you say, great. And now you have made a physical connection with this agent that you can mention in your query letter, but there's no pressure about pitching and getting a request right there in that moment. I will say my literary agent didn't come from this. I didn't get an agent physically pitching. Most people don't. Most people actually are plucked right out of the slush pile. So I do want you guys to keep that in mind. It's really not essential to be physically pitching agents. But if you decide to, I think that this pyramid is a really good way to kind of go about how this works. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Have a good night.